Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this lesson, inshallah, we'll be analyzing the poem The Little Girl Lost, which is quite a lengthy poem. I think it comprises of 12 to 13 stanzas. Okay. In futurity, I prophesy that the earth from sleep, grave the sentence deep, shall arise and seek for her maker meek, and the desert wild become a garden mild, in the southern clime where the summer's prime never fades away, lovely like a lay. 7 summers old, lovely like a told, she had wandered long, hearing wild birds' song. Sweet sleep, come to me underneath this tree. Do father, mother weep? Where can Lyra sleep? Lost in desert wild is your little child. How can Lyca sleep if her mother weep? If her heart does ache, then let Lyca wake. If my mother sleep, Lyca shall not weep. Frowning, frowning night over this desert bright, let thy moon arise while I close my eyes. Sleeping like a lay, while the beasts of prey come from caverns deep, viewed the maid asleep. The kingly lion stood and the virgin viewed, then he gamboled round over the hallowed ground. Leopards, tigers play round her as she lay, while the lion old bowed his mane of gold, and her bosom lick, and upon her neck, from his eyes of flame, ruby tears there came while the lioness loosed her slender dress, and naked they conveyed to the caves the sleeping maid. Okay, ji. So The Little Girl Lost by William Blake is a poem about innocence, vulnerability, and the protective power of divine. The poem tells the story of a little girl named Laika who gets lost in the desert. Her innocence is shown through her young age. She is only 7 and her need for sleep and comfort. So her innocence shown through her young age and her need for sleep and comfort. So Laika's journey through the desert is dangerous. As the poem describes the wild, empty surroundings, she repeatedly asks, where can Laika sleep? Showing her confusion and fear. She also worries about making her parents sad, which highlights the emotional pain of being separated from her family. The poem changes when Laika calls for sleep beneath a tree. The contrast between the dark, frowning night and the bright desert creates a strong visual image. While she sleeps, predators, including a lion, approach her. Surprisingly, the lion is gentle. He licks her and sheds ruby colored tears. This shows a protective, caring force different from the usual dangerous image of wild animals. In the last part of the poem, the lion, lioness, and other wild animals like leopards and tigers surround Laika while she sleeps. The lion's golden mane, ruby tears, and lioness's actions suggest divine care. The animals even undress her and carry her to caves, giving the story a magical and ritual-like feeling. Overall, the poem shows Laika moving from innocence and danger to a safe, protective space. It mixes the harshness of desert with the unexpected gentleness of the wild animals, suggesting that even in the toughest situations, divine protection is possible. This poem highlights how danger and care can exist together, showing that help and guardianship can appear in unexpected form. So, I gave you a brief overview of the complete poem so that when we are going through the explanation of it, it becomes easy for us to understand. So with this, we're going to begin with the explanation of the first stanza. In futurity, I prophesy that the earth from sleep grave the sentence deep. So, in the line in futurity, I prophecy introduces William Blake's vision of the future. Here, the poet speaks like a prophet, looking beyond the present to predict what will happen. The word futurity points to a distant time and suggests that these events are certain to happen. By prophesying, Blake presents himself as someone with insight into the unfolding of the world. Okay, ji. So the phrase the earth from sleep shows the earth in a kind of metaphorical sleep, meaning it is inactive or dormant. This sleep is symbolic, hinting at a major change that is waiting to happen. The lines which are written in the क्या कहते हैं, brackets, parenthesis, grave the sentence deep, it adds seriousness to the prophecy. The word grave makes it seem showing अपना क्या कहते हैं, that the events predicted are important and inevitable. So overall, this opening stanza acts as an introduction, inviting readers into Blake's prophetic vision, with the Earth's awakening from sleep, represents a metaphorical journey toward a big transformation. Second stanza. Shall arise and seek for her mother, for her maker meek, and the desert wild become a garden mild. The line shall arise and seek for her maker meek suggests a spiritual awakening, where the earth moves from rest and begins searching for a gentle and humble creator. The word arise shows that the earth is waking from a dormant state, continuing the prophetic tone from the first stanza. Here, the earth is personified as actively seeking a creator who is meek, not powerful or dominating, but kind and caring. This shows a desire for nurturing and compassionate God, highlighting the poem's theme of divine gentleness. The lines and the desert while become a garden might show a powerful transformation. The desert wild represents barrenness and harshness, while the garden mild represents fertility, peace, and calm. This change from a harsh, empty land to a gentle, flourishing garden is a metaphor for a larger journey from chaos to order, from emptiness to life. The contrasting images emphasizes the poem's main idea that the earth can be renewed and transformed when it seeks a kind of nurturing creator. This stanza therefore shows the earth's awakening and its potential for growth and harmony. So, with this, we move on to the third stanza. In the southern clime where the summer's prime never fades away, lovely like a lay. So, in the third stanza, William Blake takes the reader to a specific place and time, describing a southern land where the summer's prime never fades away. This creates a peaceful, perfect atmosphere where warmth and abundance seems constant. The word prime shows the height of summer and also suggests something timeless. Here, the poem shifts from cosmic vision to a more personal scene, introducing lovely Laika who is in this endless summer. The alliteration in Lovely Like a Lay adds a musical quality and draws attention to her innocence and beauty. The contrast between the eternal summer and Laika lying in it highlights her innocence and vulnerability. She is a fragile, delicate figure in a perfect, unchanging environment. This setting provides a calm background for the story, preparing the reader for the events and challenges that will come later. The stanza sets up both a serene scene and the introduction of Laika, readying the narrative to move from the peace to the disruptions that follow. Next stanza. 7 summers old, lovely Laika told, she had wandered long, hearing wild birds' song. So, in this stanza, Blake focuses on the character Lovely Laika and tells us that she is 7 summers old. This detail highlights her innocence and vulnerability because she is very young. The short and simple lines make her situation more touching and emphasize her innocence as she faces the difficulties in the story. The next lines describe how Laika has been wandering for a long time while listening to the songs of wild birds. Her wandering suggests exploration, and the bird songs connect her closely with nature. This shows that Laika is sensitive to the natural world around her. Her wandering and her enjoyment of nature show her innocence and curiosity. She appears as a gentle child who is in harmony with her surroundings. This stanza helps the reader understand Laika's character better and prepares us for the challenges she will face in the desert, showing her innocence in a world that contains both beauty and danger. With this, we move on to the fifth stanza. Sweet sleep, come to me underneath this tree. Do father, mother weep? Where can Laika sleep? So, in the fifth stanza, poem becomes more emotional as lovely Laika, क्या कहते हैं, asks for comfort. She says, "Sweet sleep, come to me underneath this tree." This shows that Laika is tired and wants rest after a difficult journey. Sleeping under a tree suggests a place of safety and comfort in nature. The tree acts like a natural shelter where she hopes to find peace and relief. The next lines, "Do father, mother weep? Where can Laika sleep?" show that Laika is worried about her parents. She wonders if they are crying because she is lost. This question shows that even though she is afraid and vulnerable, she still cares about her parents' feelings. Although she is a young and innocent child, she is aware that her situation may cause pain to her family. This stanza therefore highlights both her innocence and her caring nature as she searches for comfort in the wilderness. The sixth stanza. Lost in the desert wild is your little child. How can like a sleep if her mother weep? In this sixth stanza, the poem becomes more serious and emotional. Lovely Laika is described as being lost in the desert wild. This image of a small child alone in a harsh desert creates a strong feeling of vulnerability and loneliness. The desert is very different from the earlier description of a warm and peaceful summer land. This change in setting shows how easily innocence can face danger and difficulty. The lines, "How can Laika sleep if a mother weep?" deepen the emotional meaning of the stanza. Laika feels that she cannot rest if her mother is crying for her. This shows the strong emotional bond between Laika and her mother. Her ability to sleep is connected to her mother's feelings. The stanza highlights the pain of separation and shows how deeply family members care for each other. Seventh stanza. If heart does ache, then let like awake. If my mother sleep, Laika shall not weep. In this stanza, lovely Laika's concern for her mother becomes very clear. She says, if her heart does ache, then let Laika wake. This shows that Laika is willing to stay awake if her mother is worried or in pain. It highlights the strong emotional bond between Laika and her mother. Laika's rest depends on her mother's feelings, showing how deeply she cares about her. The lines, "If my mother sleep, Laika shall not weep," further show Laika's selfless love. If a mother can sleep peacefully, Laika promises that she will not cry. This shows that Laika understands her mother's emotions and wants to reduce her suffering. Overall, this stanza shows the deep connection between mother and child. It highlights the selfless nature of love, as Laika is ready to sacrifice her own comfort for her mother's happiness. The stanza emphasizes themes of family love, sacrifice, and emotional care during the difficult times. With this, we move on to the eighth stanza. Frowning, frowning night over this desert bright, let thy moon arise while I close my eyes. In this stanza, the poem becomes more mystical and emotional as lovely Laika speaks to the night. The night is described as frowning, frowning, which gives it human qualities, as if it is showing anger or seriousness. This personification makes the natural world seem emotional and powerful. The contrast between the desert bride and the frowning night highlights Laika's loneliness and the difficult situation she is in. The lines, "Over this desert bride, let thy moon arise while I close my eyes," show Laika asking for comfort and protection. By asking the moon to rise over the desert, she is calling for light and guidance in the darkness. When she says that she will, when she says that she will close her eyes, it shows that she is ready to sleep, but also that she trusts the natural and divine forces around her to protect her. This stanza shows Laika's vulnerability and her trust in the natural world. The moon becomes a symbol of hope, calmness, and protection, suggesting that even in a difficult, lonely place, there is still a possibility of guidance and safety. With this, we move on to the ninth stanza. Sleeping like a lay while the beasts of prey come from caverns deep, viewed the maid sleep. So, in this stanza, the mood of the poem changes slightly as the focus moves to lovely like a sleeping. The image of sleeping like a shows a moment of rest and highlights her innocence while she is unconscious. However, this peaceful moment is contrasted with the arrival of beasts of prey that come from deep caves to look at her. The phrase beast of prey suggests danger and makes the reader feel that Laika may be in trouble. It shows that even when she is resting, there are possible threats around her. The idea that these animals come from caverns deep adds mystery and darkness. Caves are hidden in distant places, which makes the animal seem more mysterious and possibly dangerous. The fact that they watch Laika while she sleeps creates tension and suspense in the poem. This moment moves the story forward and highlights the theme of innocence facing danger. Laika's innocence is contrasted with the watchful eyes of these wild creatures, making the reader think about how vulnerable she is and how dangers may exist around her. Next stanza. The kingly lion stood and the virgin viewed, then he gamboled round over the hallowed ground. So, in this stanza, the important change happens in the poem when a kingly lion appears. The word kingly gives the lion a royal and powerful image. Lions often symbolize strength and nobility, so the lion becomes a strong and important presence in the scene. The line saying that the lion stood suggests a serious moment as it looks at the sleeping lovely Laika. The poem then focuses on the meeting between the lion and Laika. Laika is called a virgin, which emphasizes her innocence and purity. The lion looking at the sleeping girl creates a meaningful moment. In the previous stanza, the wild animals seem dangerous, but here the lion appears calm and protective instead of threatening. The lions then he gambled, yani ke run or jump about playfully over the hallowed ground show an unexpected change. The lion begins to play gently, and the place where Laika lies is described as hallowed ground, yani ke a sacred or a holy place. So the lion's playful movement suggests respect and protection rather than danger. This stanza becomes a turning point in the poem. The lion appears like a guardian figure, showing that instead of harm, a kind and protective force may be watching over the innocent Laika. Okay, ji. Leopards, tigers play round her as she lay, while the lion old bowed his mane of gold. In this stanza, the poem continues to show the relationship between lovely Laika and the wild animals, strengthening the idea that they are protecting her. The poem mentions leopards and tigers playing around Laika. This creates a feeling of peace and harmony, even though these animals are usually seen as dangerous. Their playful behavior shows that they are gentle and friendly toward the innocent girl. This surprising scene shows that the wild animals are not harming her, but peacefully sharing the space with her. The poem then focuses again on the old lion who bowed his mane of gold. The word old suggests wisdom and experience, making the lion appear even more noble and protective. Bowing his golden mane can be seen as a sign of respect and care for Laika. The golden mane also gives the lion a majestic and almost divine image. This stanza further develops the idea of protection in nature. Instead of being dangerous, the wild animals act like guardians watching over Laika while she sleeps. The playful leopards and tigers, along with the wise and respectful lion, help show a world where innocence is protected by unexpected kindness in the world. And her bosom lick, and upon her neck, from his eyes of flame, ruby tears there came. So, in the 12th stanza, the poem becomes more symbolic as the old line shows a closer and gentler interaction with lovely Laika. The lines and her bosom lick and upon her leg show the lion caring for Laika in a tender way. The act of licking suggests a protective and nurturing instinct, almost like a parent caring for a child. This shows the lion not as a dangerous animal but as a gentle guardian. His closeness to Laika also shows a strong bond and protection of care. The next lines, from his eyes of flame, ruby tears there came, create a powerful image. The eyes of flame give the lion a majestic and almost supernatural quality. The ruby tears symbolize deep emotional love and compassion. These tears suggest that the lion feels sympathy and care for Laika. This imagery gives the poem a strong spiritual meaning. The line appears like a divine guardian who protects the innocent girl. This stanza brings together the main ideas of the poem: innocence, vulnerability, and unexpected kindness and protection in the wild. With this, we move on to the last stanza. While the lioness lose her slender dress, and naked they conveyed to caves the sleeping maid. In the final stanza, the poem reaches its conclusion as the lioness and the old lion work together to protect lovely Laika. The lines, while the lioness lose the slender dress, are symbolic. The action of loosening the dress may suggest removing fear or vulnerability. The word slender highlights the gentle and graceful nature of the lioness. This action can also symbolize a change into a more innocent and protected state. It shows the lioness acting like a caring maternal guardian. The last lines, and naked they conveyed to caves the sleeping maid, complete the story. The word naked can symbolize purity and innocence rather than literal nakedness. The animals carrying the sleeping girl to caves suggest that they are taking her to a safe and sheltered place. The caves represent protection and refuge away from the dangers of the desert. Overall, this final stanza shows the protective forces of nature guiding Laika to safety. The caves become a safe sanctuary for her. The poem ends by showing how innocence is protected and how kindness and protection can appear even in the wild. With this, we move on to the themes present in this poem. The first theme happens to be innocence and vulnerability. One of the main themes of the poem is innocence and vulnerability shown through the character of lovely Laika. She is only 7 summers old, which highlights her youth and innocence. Being lost in the desert makes the situation very dangerous and shows how vulnerable she is. Her question, where can Laika sleep, shows a child's confusion and fear when facing the harsh world. The contrast between the dangerous desert and Laika's gentle nature emphasizes this theme. Second theme is nature's transformative power. The poem also shows how nature can bring change and renewal. At the beginning, the desert is empty and harsh, but later it is imagined as becoming a garden mild. This change suggests how hope and renewal. The idea that the earth will wake up and look for its maker meek also shows the possibility of transformation. The next theme is divine protection and intervention. Another important theme is divine protection. Even though Laika is surrounded by wild animals, they do not harm her. The lion acts gently, even licking her and shedding ruby tears. This suggests care and protection instead of danger. The lioness also helps by carrying Laika to a safe cave. These actions show that a protective force is watching over the innocent child. Emotional impact of separation. The poem, the last theme is emotional impact of separation. The poem also shows the sadness caused by separation from family. Laika worries about her parents and asks, if her heart does ache, then let Laika wake. This shows how deeply she cares about her mother and father. The poem highlights the strong emotional bond between the family members. So, overall, the poem encourages readers to think about human experiences such as innocence, danger, love, and protection. It also suggests that even in difficult situations, there is hope for kindness and positive change. Now, with this, we move on to the literary devices that are present in this poem. The first literary device is repetition. Blake repeats certain words and ideas to highlight important themes and emotions. For example, the repeated question, where can Laika sleep, shows Laika's innocence and vulnerability as she wanders in the harsh desert. The repetition also connects the stanzas and reminds the reader that the lost girl is searching for safety and comfort. Next theme is symbolism. Blake uses symbols to give deeper meaning to the poem. The desert represents danger, loneliness, and suffering, while the garden represents peace, renewal, and transformation. When the earth searches for its maker meek, it symbolizes a desire to connect with a kind and protective creator. Next literary device is imagery. Blake uses vivid descriptions to create to create strong pictures in the reader's mind. For example, when the lion licks her bosom and sheds ruby tears, it creates a surprising image of kindness and gentleness. This image suggests that Laika is protected by a higher power. Next literary device is alliteration. Blake sometimes repeats the same consonant sound to create rhythm and musical beauty in the poem. For example, in Lovely Like a Lay, the repeated L sound makes the line smooth and pleasant to read. Next literary device is contrast. Blake also uses contrast to highlight opposite ideas. For example, the difference between the frowning night and the desert bright shows the tension between darkness and light. This highlights how both the forces are working together in the world. Both have the power to eliminate the other. Anything is possible, such as it is possible for the innocent and vulnerable world to survive amongst the wildest of all creatures. Furthermore, the wildest of creatures can work as protectors for the ones who they normally prey upon, if the gods want. Next literary device is metaphor. Blake uses metaphors to explain ideas by comparing them to something else. The lion's golden mane suggests not only the lion's power and majesty but also hints at something divine and protective. Then there is irony, the last one. They, the wild animals first seem dangerous, but instead they treat like a gently and protect her. This unexpected behavior challenges normal expectations. Okay, which become ironical. यानी कि the animals from whom you expect beastly actions, they have become protectors of Laika. So through these literary devices, Blake makes the poem richer and more meaningful. With this, we move on to the structure and form of the poem. It has 13 stanzas, and each stanza has four lines, which is called a quatrain. The poem follows a regular double A double B rhyme scheme, where the first two lines rhyme with each other and the last two lines rhyme with each other. This regular rhyme pattern gives the poem a smooth and musical sound. The use of regular quatrains give the poem a clear and balanced structure. It creates a steady pace for the reader and helps the story move forward in an organized way. Each stanza presents a small part of the story or expresses a particular feeling. Although the poem has a regular and orderly structure, the events in the poem describe danger, wilderness, and divine protection. This contrast between the calm structure and the intense events makes the poem more powerful. It encourages readers to think about the difference between the poem's orderly form and the uncertainty experienced by the characters. With this, we end this lesson. I hope you understood this. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. Jazakallah.